Problem with being a puppet master, and that is your hands are tied up doing all the manipulating. So you can't defend yourself against some bratty little kid who sneaks up on the world stage and kicks the stool out from under you. Just ask Vladimir Putin, who was just humiliated by President Zelensky in what is the Ukrainian equivalent of bombing Pearl Harbor. As several sources are now reporting, Putin's whole Trump strategy, not to mention his whole war plan, is in tatters. Here's what Adam Kinzinger had to say.
Yeah, look, this is a huge deal. I would actually say this is right there with when Ukraine had their very successful counteroffensive. Potentially taking out a third of Russia's bomber force is what this could potentially be, is a hit like no other. And keep in mind, Ukraine is actually winning this war as a defending country. All you have to do to win is keep defending until the attacker runs out of combat power. At the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Russia occupied 30% of Ukraine. Today, it's 18%. They've lost 1 million men, casualties in that process. Up until this point, Russia's been attacking indiscriminately civilian targets in Ukraine all week, all month, and frankly, the entire war.
Kinzinger's point about Ukraine attacking legitimate targets while Russia plays dirty by attacking civilian targets points to another way in which Putin has been humiliated, and not just morally. By attacking only military targets, Zelensky and Ukraine wisely refrain from giving the Russian people motivation to want to continue this war. People like Putin and Trump think they are so tough when they murder innocent civilians. But leaders like Zelensky understand that if you fall into a tit-for-tat retaliatory approach, you just give people cause to want to fight harder. 1 million Russian soldiers are dead. Blow up a couple of Russian cities, though, and the Russian people will rally. Humiliate the military, and the Russian people start saying, why are we doing this? But there's another reason why this attack has just shredded Putin's Trump strategy. Admiral James Stavridis explained.
Final thought for you, as I watch this, as a former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, people ask me a lot, hey, do we really want to take Ukraine into the alliance? When this war is over, this is going to be a country manufacturing 2 million, maybe 3 million drones a year. They'll have the most highly blooded, motivated military force on the continent. Do we want them on Team NATO? Man, I do.
So what the Admiral is talking about is this one attack just completely changed the image of Ukraine and why the U.S. should support it. Before, the image was the poor little country standing up to the big Russian bear, and we should be the big brother that stands up for them. Now, it's the country who knows how to shred this overrated, old-fashioned, ill-trained army whose tactics of just sending more bodies and more equipment hasn't changed since World War I. Kinzinger adds another reason why the U.S. should be supporting Ukraine.
I would love to see the United States once again support our allies and go against, not just Russia, by the way. Ukraine is fighting Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea. They're like all enemies of the United States. So it might be really good to support Ukraine at this moment.
And that is another huge dent to the image of Putin as strongman. We know he already went begging to North Korea for troops, but now he's out there begging to China and Iran to bail him out from his military mistake. This is leading us all to ask, how many more human lives must be lost in order for this petty little man to save his rat-like face? And my apologies to the rats of this world. Putin is already failing by comparison to Zelensky. This bold sneak attack, requiring stealth, secrecy, technological superiority, tactical superiority, and logistical brilliance, just made Putin look like the old Soviet putz that he is. And of course, the other knockout blow to Putin's tough guy image is that peace talks in Turkey just took a humiliating turn for Putin. It's almost like Zelensky is coming to the table with more cards now. And Putin, who decided to forego coming these peace talks, it now looks like he has a permanent reason not to. The whole world knows that Zelensky is smarter, braver, and bolder than Putin could ever hope to be. But another of Kinzinger's observations is really the nail in the coffin for Putin's image. Watch.
Keep in mind in this process, we're going to see. So Ukraine is going to see how Russia responds to this. They've seen how Russia does or does not, in this case, does not defend their military bases, and they're going to adjust from that. There may be more, there likely could be many more attacks like this, kind of on the perch, ready to go in Russia. And now all of a sudden, Russia has had to go from defending its air bases and its military stuff, basically, within whatever, 500 or 1,000 kilometers of the front line to the entire amount of Russia.
And really, what Kinzinger is saying is that there is no reason to think that all the drones were deployed. It's not a matter of Ukraine trying to sneak more drones in, it's that they could already be there. Putin now has to run around and make sure there aren't more drones, while at the same time find ways to secure his air force. That makes him look weak and vulnerable. And to top it off, with the destruction of his bomber force, it's not likely that they have the air power to threaten U.S. territory anymore. The U.S. Navy and Air Force will no longer have to scramble to counter Russian incursions, and that makes us safer. So, J.D. Vance, I think you owe Zelensky an apology. Reporting from Rome, I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.